Let's talk body language.
I've been really trying, baby.
Not that type of body language? No. We're going to talk about body language at work and why it makes such a big difference. We're going to talk first about our face, and then we're going to talk about our bodies, because that's not creepy at all. Okay, we're going to talk specifically about facial expressions and the negative facial expressions we make when something doesn't go our way. When we feel an emotion and it just immediately manifests itself on our faces. Now, here's an example of that. Let's say you're in a meeting and your boss comes in to your team and says, "Hey, guys, I'm sorry, but we have to cut budgets by 50% this year. Sorry." Now, there are a lot of ways you could react to this, right? So, for example, you could react with anger. Your face could show disbelief. You could be stressed with, "Why does this always happen to me? My life is over." Or maybe you told someone before the meeting that you knew these budget cuts were coming, and when your boss actually says that, you give other people the "I told you so" look. All of these expressions may be natural, but they will hurt you in the long run. People notice these expressions, and guess what? When you make an expression like this, when you add to a tough situation by further piling on negativity, you become part of the problem, not part of the solution. And in case you were wondering, corporations and employers like solutions. They don't like problems. So how do you handle this if you have these natural feelings? How do you make it so you don't show them on your face? You do it by disciplining yourself and containing the emotion until it has run its course. There are two types of faces I think you're allowed to make, okay? The first is the listening intently face. Looks like this. You're not agreeing with anything. It just means that you're saying, "I hear you, I'm listening to you, and I'm processing." The second face is the surprise. Looks like this. Oh. And when you're doing these faces, lean towards smile. You don't have to be a machine. Like, you don't have to be like, "I'm smiling even though I wish I were crying." Then, after you've done this, you can wait for your emotions to process, and either in that meeting, or maybe you need to get out of that meeting and another time go back to your boss and have a logical conversation. So, for example, you could say, "Hey, boss, I have thought about this and totally am on board with cutting these budgets. I understand what the request is and understand the business situation we're in. 50% is a lot for us, and I just want to walk you through some of the implications to our business if we cut 50% of our budget. Here they are." So that's the face. Now let's talk about your body. Is this creepy yet? There are only a couple of things I'd like to address as it relates to body language. And the first is invading personal space. Don't be a close talker, right? I mean, let's just do a test, okay? If you are talking to someone at work, and as you're speaking, you think to yourself, "This person might be able to smell my breath. Hey, Hank, how was the hockey game yesterday?" If you think they might be able to smell your breath, it's time to back it up. It's time. Beep, 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 beep. All right, the next thing is making sure that your body language displays your level of engagement. Let me give you an example. 12 years ago, I was in business school. We had some hoity-toity banker alumnus guy come out to do a mock interview for people. I had a mock interview with him and thought the interview went pretty well. I spent a half hour with him, and after the interview, he said, "I don't think you were really engaged or really cared very much." And I was shocked, and I was like, "Why not?" And he said, "Your arms were folded and you were kind of leaning back, and I wasn't sure how into it you were." And I thought to myself, gosh, just by folding my arms and leaning back, could that really send a signal of disengagement? And the answer for this interviewer was yes. And while it may not have been that strong, the reality is there was probably other interviewers who were not displaying that type of body language. And so point them, zero me. Just watch the cues you are giving in meetings, especially really important meetings that might be a little formal. So some major watch outs: folding the arms, leaning back, yawning, not making eye contact with people, This is not about being a machine, right? Hi, I'm engaged because I'm smiling and my shoulders are squared. It's just about making sure you are aware that your level of engagement and your body language match. All right, guys, that's it. And the final piece of advice, whatever you do in an important meeting, do not talk about other people's bodies. Still creepy.